live in interesting times.
For the headlines.
New York County bans unvaccinated children from public places. An emergency has been declared in Rockland County, and more than 150 people have come down with the measles.
7 anti-junta parties in Thailand form a coalition aimed at thwarting military-backed rule days after a vote that has deadlocked politics in the junta-ruled country.
Cyclone-ravaged Mozambique records its first cases of cholera, aggravating the already dire conditions facing millions of survivors of the powerful storm that hit southern Africa nearly 2 weeks ago.
And Palestinian militants fired 3 rockets at Israel overnight, prompting retaliatory fire from Israel. They came after Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu said he was prepared for further military action in Gaza.
I'm Alma Angeles, wherever you're watching from around the world. Thank you very much for joining us.
We welcome our viewers here in the Philippines and around the world. Good evening, everyone. I'm Sam Cepeda.
And now to the news. We begin in New York. An emergency has been declared in Rockland County. More than 150 people have come down with the measles. Officials announced that anyone under 18 not vaccinated will be barred from all public places. Take a look.
This effort is on the parents of these children. We are urging them once again, now with the authority of law, to get your children vaccinated.
Vaccination rates have dropped steadily in the U.S., with many parents objecting for philosophical or religious reasons, or because they believe misleading information that vaccines cause autism in children. Under the declaration, which lasts for at least 30 days, anyone under 18 who is not vaccinated against measles is barred from public gathering places, including shopping malls, civic centers, schools, restaurants, and even houses of worship. Violating the order will be punishable by a fine of $500 and up to 6 months in prison.
It is listed as a B misdemeanor, which I believe is 6 months in jail, $500 or a $500 fine. Again, just to be clear, this is not something we're looking to do. The emergency declaration itself, by law, comes with that assigned level. It's the lowest misdemeanor, lowest crime there is.
Due to come into effect at midnight Wednesday, U.S. time, for 30 days, it appears to be the most radical step by U.S. officials following outbreaks in several regions blamed on an anti-vaccination movement.
Contracting the measles is not only dangerous while you have it, but it can lead to complications years later. Measles parties are not the preferred treatment. Those days are over. Every new case is a roll of the dice that could bring on pneumonia, encephalitis, or swelling of the brain, or cause premature birth, which can even lead to kind of complications and even death. But what about the infants who are out there with mom and dad? My newborn grandson is an infant. What about those pregnant and those with compromised immune systems, like cancer patients and survivors? These are the people we need all to step up for. To that end, I am taking further action to protect the public health and in conjunction in support of the ongoing effort of the County Department of Health. In order to prevent any more children from falling ill with this dangerous disease, I am today declaring a countywide state of emergency. Effective at the stroke of midnight tonight, March 27th, anyone who is under 18 years of age and is unvaccinated against the measles will be barred from public places until the declaration expires in 30 days or until they receive at least their first shot of MMR. Those under 18 years of age who are unable to be vaccinated for confirmed, documented medical reasons are exempt from this declaration. That is simply the right thing to do.
Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu warned Tuesday that he was ready to order further action in the Hamas-controlled Gaza Strip after airstrikes in response to rocket fire.
We are prepared to do a lot more. We will do what is necessary to defend our people and to defend our state.
There was information from Hamas that the two sides had agreed on a ceasefire and the violence had halted. But Israeli media quoted a government source as saying that no ceasefire agreement has been reached. Dozens of Israeli tanks, military vehicles and troops gather near the border with the Gaza Strip. Meanwhile, at the United Nations, a senior official urged Israel and the Palestinian militant group, Hamas, to stop provoking each other.
A new conflict will be devastating for the Palestinian people. It will have consequences for Israelis who live in the vicinity of the Gaza perimeter, and it is likely to have regional repercussions. This is why I ask you all today to join the United Nations in condemning the continued indiscriminate firing of rockets towards Israel. Such acts of provocation only dramatically increase the risk of escalation and ultimately damage our collective efforts to support the people of Gaza and intra-Palestinian reconciliation. We must also call on all sides to exercise maximum restraint as the situation remains extremely tense.
Once again, Israeli occupying forces have taken to the skies, dropping bombs and missiles on our defenseless civilian population, terrorizing and traumatizing them in a blatant act of aggression and collective punishment in grave breach of international law. What we are witnessing at this moment did not begin yesterday. It is part of the long-running campaign of violence and terror being waged against our people by Israel, the occupying power, by its military forces and extremist settlers. What we are witnessing is pretext after pretext being exploited by warmongering Israeli officials and again in the context of an election campaign. The Security Council must make its voice heard and act to deter further violence and escalations of this dangerous situation. The Council is duty-bound to maintain international peace and security and must not turn a blind eye to Israelis' violations and aggressions.
Hamas claimed yesterday's attack was an accident, another accident. Let me be very clear about that. This was no accident. This was a deliberate and direct attack on Israel, just like every one of the 12,000 attacks before it. Today is the day for the Security Council finally to designate Hamas as a terrorist organization. Make no mistake, we will not accept a reality in which our children become targets of Hamas. We are determined to protect our people. If these terror attacks continue, the leaders of Hamas will feel the might of the IDF and will be buried in the tunnels of Gaza.
We were clear in the condemnation of the rocket attack, but now we believe it's absolutely necessary to avoid any scaling up and to have restraint. And our appeal is for restraint in the present moment, for the people not to suffer even more, both in Israel and in Gaza and in Palestine in general.
Cyclone Idai and its mounting death toll is yet another alarm bell about the dangers of climate change. UN Secretary General Antonio Guterres said, warning that vulnerable countries like Mozambique would be hit the hardest unless urgent action is taken.
It was an uncommonly fierce and prolonged storm, yet another alarm bell about the dangers of climate change, especially in vulnerable, at-risk countries. Such events are becoming more frequent, more severe and devastating, and more widespread, and these will only get worse if we do not act now.
He was speaking in New York, and he added that in the face of turbocharged storms, We need revved-up climate action. The Secretary General has convened a climate action summit this September to try and mobilize countries around the urgent need to reduce global warming to well under 2 degrees Celsius above pre-industrial levels, in line with the 2015 Paris Agreement. The death toll across Mozambique, Malawi, and Zimbabwe stands at around 700, but figures are expected to rise, with hundreds still missing.
The death toll across the 3 countries is at least 700, but with hundreds still missing. And the devastation has affected an estimated 3 million people, nearly 2/3 of them in Mozambique. At least 1 million children need urgent assistance, and this number may well grow. We fear that whole villages have been washed away in places we have yet to reach.
Five cases of cholera have been confirmed in Mozambique following the cyclone that ravaged the country, killing at least 468 people, a government health official said. Cyclone Idai smashed into Mozambique on March 15, unleashing hurricane-force winds and heavy rains that flooded much of the center of the country and then battered eastern Zimbabwe and Malawi. UN Humanitarian Aid Chief Mark Lowcock has appealed for $282 million, or that's 250 million euros, of relief aid over the next 3 months for Mozambique. The UN's World Food Program said roughly 3,125 square kilometers of land had been swamped.
We're really sitting here on a water sanitation and hygiene ticking bomb, because there could be, some high risk of waterborne diseases, like we know them most of the time in these kind of disasters. Of course, one think of cholera, one think of typhus, but Mozambique is also a malaria endemic country. Has the government raised the alarm early enough? Well, I think they raised the alarm, but I think the government itself, like all the other people in Mozambique, were quite surprised by the scale and magnitude of this kind of a disaster. This is one of the worst in recent history in Mozambique, and they were all totally overwhelmed.
To Thailand now, several anti-junta parties formed a coalition vowing to thwart a military-backed party in a bid to end years of junta rule following the country's first vote since a 2014 coup. Thai politics are deadlocked after Sunday's vote, with 2 main rival parties claiming the right to govern amid allegations of ballot irregularities and the full official results yet to be released. 7 anti-junta parties led by the Pheu Thai party said they would join forces, claiming to win enough parliamentary seats to form a government and sideline military-backed allies led by the Phalang Pracharat party.
พรรคการเมืองตามรายชื่อท้ายแถลงการณ์นี้ซึ่งยืนยันว่าได้รวบรวมเสียงในสภาผู้แทนราษฎรเกินกว่า255 เสียงได้ลงสัตยาบันร่วมกันในการหยุดยั้งการสืบทอดอำนาจของคสช.จะเดินทางไปกกต.นะคะเพื่อที่จะไปพูดจาแล้วก็เรียกร้องให้กกต.เนี่ยเปิดเผยข้อมูลนะคะผลการนับคะแนนครบ 100% และเราคงได้พูดจากับกกต.ในเรื่องที่มีความไม่ชอบมาพากลทั้งในการนับคะแนนทั้งในการดำเนินการระหว่างการนับคะแนน
The bloc of 7, which includes the youth-focused Future Forward Party that did surprisingly well in the elections, claimed it would take 255 out of the 500 lower house seats. They're up for grabs. Pheu Thai has won every election since 2001 and is affiliated with self-exiled former Premier Thaksin Shinawatra. Thaksin's sister Yingluck was herself ousted in the 2014 push and is also living in self-exile. The military-backed Phalang Pracharat, led by Junta Chief and Prime Ministerial candidate Prayut Chan-o-cha won the popular vote with 7.6 million ballots in its favor, 400,000 more votes than Pheu Thai. Phalang Pracharat has also said it expects to secure more than half of all the seats in the lower house. The balance of power is stacked in favor of the junta due to a charter it drafted creating 250 military-appointed upper house seats. That means non-military parties like Pheu Thai need an avalanche of votes in order to vote in a prime minister. The Election Commission has unexpectedly delayed releasing official results, and questions are now swirling over election irregularities, with an election monitor saying the tabulation was deeply flawed.
The trust with the system and the issue with the announcing the result, the delay of the result issuing. It may be nothing wrong, but nobody knows, nobody aware what is happening under the table. So ECT may be doing well, we do not know, but they need to inform well in advance if there's something wrong.
There was a lack of transparency and cooperation between the ECT and the civil society that we also need to highlight. This limited the outflow of information and prevented the building of distrust among the population. Unfortunately, a significant portion of the population still expresses distrust toward this electoral process.
U.S. prosecutors have dropped all charges against television actor Jussie Smollett, who was accused of fabricating a racist and homophobic hate crime. His attorney says, addressing the press from a Chicago courthouse, Smollett says he is eager to get back to work.
But I'm a man of faith, and I'm a man that has knowledge of my history, and I would not bring my family, our lives, or the movement through a fire like this. I just wouldn't. Now I'd like nothing more than to just get back to work and move on with my life. But make no mistakes, I will always continue to fight for the justice, equality, and betterment of marginalized people everywhere.
Smollett was accused of sending himself a threatening letter and hiring two acquaintances to stage a street attack complete with homophobic and racial slurs while invoking Donald Trump's Make America Great Again slogan. The case invoked widespread sympathy for the actor and outraged over the attack. But the actor was later written out of the last two episodes of the Fox network television program Empire amid uproar over the accusations against him. The producers of the program said they had no comment about the latest developments.
In other news, European Council President Donald Tusk urged EU lawmakers to remain open to a long postponement of Brexit while Britain rethinks its position, urging them not to betray pro-Europe voters. Take a look.
You cannot betray the 6 million people who signed the petition to revoke Article 50, the 1 million people who marched for a people's vote, or the increasing majority of people who want to remain in the European Union. They may feel that they are not sufficiently represented by the UK Parliament, but they must feel that they are represented by you in this chamber, because they are Europeans. Thank you.
At last week's European summit, EU leaders agreed to delay the day of Britain's departure from the bloc by 3 weeks until April 12, while Prime Minister Theresa May struggles to ratify a withdrawal treaty. But many on the continent, most vocally France's President Emmanuel Macron, oppose a longer extension, concerned it would disrupt the European Parliament elections that start on May 23. If Britain is still an EU member on that date, it would have to take part in the vote, and wrangling over Brexit would continue to disrupt the European political agenda for months or years to come. Hundreds of thousands of pro-European British voters marched in London on Saturday, and an online petition hosted by Parliament calling on the government to cancel Brexit has gathered 5.8 million names.
We've seen how the government has ignored our warnings time and time again. It's time to say loud and clear, enough is enough.
This cause is actually bigger than any political party. It is bigger than any tribal. And it is what unites us. And we believe it unites the people in our constituencies increasingly.
Any deal that Parliament can now agree will inevitably be the lowest common denominator of reluctant compromise. This is no way to chart a nation's future.
China has expelled former Interpol chief Meng Hongwei from the Communist Party and dismissed him from his official positions, the country's graft watchdog announced. Meng, who served as the Vice Minister of Public Security, vanished in September last year during a visit to China from France and was later accused of accepting bribes. Meng Hongwei has no party principles, does not report personal matters in accordance with regulations, and refuses to implement the decision of the party Central Committee, the Central Commission for Discipline and Inspection, said in a statement. Meng had used state assets to support his family's lavish lifestyle while abusing his position to get his wife employment, the watchdog said, adding that he illegally accepted huge amounts of property from others. The case has been handed over to the state prosecutor's office and his illegal income has been confiscated, it added. Meng, the first Chinese head of Interpol, had risen through the ranks of the country's feared security apparatus.
U.S. aviation authorities will defend their certification methods for new planes before lawmakers 2 weeks after the grounding of the Boeing 737 MAX over 2 deadly crashes in less than 5 months. Boeing has flown test flights of its 737 MAX to evaluate a fix for the system targeted as a potential cause of the crashes. 2 sources familiar with the matter said on Tuesday the aviation giant, which has been under fire and has seen its flagship narrow-body planes grounded since March 13, tested the system upgrade on Monday, 2 days after pilots from American and Southwest Airlines did simulation flights in Renton, Washington. The aircraft was grounded following 2 deadly accidents involving Ethiopian Airlines earlier this month and Lion Air in October that together killed 346 people. A Senate Commerce Committee panel will hold a hearing Wednesday, U.S. time, to question FAA Acting Administration Daniel Elwell and Transportation Department Inspector General Calvin Scoville.
When an accident happens, for any reason, we focus relentlessly to determine why. We're united with our airline customers, international regulators, and government authorities in our efforts to support the most recent investigation, understand the facts of what happened, and help prevent future tragedies. We regret the ongoing challenges the grounding has caused for our customers and the flying public.
India said it shut down a low-orbiting satellite in a missile test that proved the nation was among the world's most advanced space superpowers. In a rare address to the nation, just weeks out from a national election, Prime Minister Narendra Modi said India had joined the United States, Russia, and China in accomplishing the feat. A missile fired from a testing facility in Odisha, eastern India, downed the live satellite in orbit at around 300 kilometers in a difficult operation that lasted around 3 minutes, the Prime Minister said.
अंतरिक्ष महाशक्ति स्पेस पावर के रूप में दर्ज करा दिया है। अब तक दुनिया के 3 देश अमेरिका, रूस और चीन को यह उपलब्धि हासिल थी।
Modi said the missile test against the satellite was peaceful and not designed to create an atmosphere of war.
Meanwhile, on behalf of the President, Vice President Mike Pence directed NASA Administrator Jim Bridenstine to accelerate the agency's lunar exploration plans. During a National Space Council meeting held at the U.S. Space and Rocket Center in Huntsville, Alabama, Administrator Bridenstine said NASA accepts the challenge to land humans on the moon in 2024. Take a look.
Just as the United States was the first nation to reach the moon in the 20th century, so too will we be the first nation to return astronauts to the moon in the 21st century. And I'm here on the President's behalf to tell the men and women of the Marshall Space Flight Center and the American people that at the direction of the President of the United States, it is the stated policy of this administration and the United States of America to return American astronauts to the moon within the next 5 years. And let me be clear, the first woman and the next man on the moon will both be American astronauts, launched by American rockets from American soil. The President has directed NASA and Administrator Jim Bridenstine to accomplish this goal by any means necessary. In order to succeed, we must focus on the mission over the means. You must consider every available option and platform to meet our goals, including industry, government, and the entire American space enterprise. History is written by those who dare to dream big and do the impossible.
You have given us a charge today, and it is right on time. And I want to say thank you for that vision and the leadership. Our agency, NASA, is going to do everything in its power to meet that vision, to meet that deadline. And you have my full commitment to achieving that. Well, Mr. Vice President, I can tell you, I am confident we can get to that first launch in 2020 for SLS and actually fly a crew capsule around the moon. We will be using the Gateway as a reusable command module to get boots on the moon as soon as possible. 2008 and 2009, NASA made important discoveries, hundreds of millions of tons of water ice on the poles of the moon. We want to be able to get to that polar region. We need a reusable command module. We need a command module that can, no kidding, maneuver around the moon. That's what the Gateway is all about.
America will once again astonish the world with the heights we reach, the wonders we achieve, and we will lead the world in human space exploration once again. Now let's get to work.
Eagle News International will be right back. Stay tuned.
Business News, this is Cesar Vallejos. President Duterte will review the enrolled 2019 budget bill and sign it if it is constitutional, Malacanang Palace vowed on Tuesday, following a move by senators to withdraw their reservations in order to reach bicameral accord on a final version of the pending 3.7 trillion budget 2019 national budget. This basically makes signing of the budget law a judgment call by the president. Presidential spokesman and Chief Presidential Legal Counsel Salvador Panelo said the president will still have to evaluate whether or not the Senate's position on the post-ratification changes on the budget bill are valid. The Senate says it's illegal and unconstitutional, and the president says he will not sign anything that is unconstitutional. As far as he is concerned, he will have to evaluate whether or not the opinion of the Senate is indeed correct. It depends. The president is a lawyer, Panelo told reporters. Asked if the president is not being put in an awkward position by leave it to him to decide on the budget issue, Panelo said, no, the lawmakers' job is to pass the bill, the president's budget. If they have done that, the ball is now in the hands of the president. They just performed their duty. In a last-minute change of mind, Senate leaders agreed Tuesday to withdraw their reservations that had left both chambers of Congress deadlocked the past 2 weeks, paving the way for Duterte to sign the money measure into law and enable the government to stop operating on last year's reenacted budget. After a one-day meeting between some members of the House and the Senate, Senate President Vicente Soto III signed with strong reservations the 2019 GAA citing unconstitutional realignments. In a letter transmitting the budget to the palace, Senate President Soto informed President Duterte he affixed his signature with strong reservations, adding that he was leaving it up to Malacanang to consider disapproving the unconstitutional realignments pursuant to his constitutional power to veto particular items in the budget bill. Soto informed the president he found unconstitutional the 75 billion pesos worth of projects under local infrastructure program of DPWH funds through internal realignments after the bicameral conference committee report was ratified. Soto said the senators instead opted to leave it up to Duterte to line veto items in the budget found by senators to be objectionable, including last-minute realignments made by the House after the budget bill as approved by the bicameral conference committee was already ratified by both chambers. Petron Corporation said on Tuesday that it plans to raise up to 20 billion pesos through the issuance of preferred shares. The company has received the written assent of stockholders representing more than a majority of the total outstanding common capital stock in relation to the company's solicitation for stockholders' written assent to the proposed issuance by the company of preferred shares of up to 20 billion pesos, Petron said. It did not provide further details. Early this month, Petron said it will redeem Series 2A preferred shares issued in 2014 at the redemption price of 1,000 pesos per share on November 4, 2019. The country's largest oil refiner reported a 50% decline in net income last year, mainly due to the declining world oil prices. It posted 7.1 billion pesos in net income last year and incurred an inventory loss of 10 billion pesos for the last 2 months of the year. It was a challenging year, yet we captured the majority of the market and remained the largest and fastest growing oil company in the country. While our long-term fundamentals remain attractive, we will continue to be prepared and be responsive to market conditions, Petron President Ramon Ang said. Petron provides nearly 40% of the country's fuel requirements through its Bataan refinery, 30 terminals, and over 2,400 service stations nationwide. Hong Kong flag carrier Cathay Pacific said on Wednesday it will buy budget airline HK Express for more than $600 million as it moves to counter competition from the increasing number of low-cost carriers in the region. The move is its first foray into the budget sector and will leave Cathay controlling 3 of the 4 airlines as one of the Asia's busiest airports at a time of huge growth in the region's air industry. It comes weeks after the carrier said it had swung back into the black in 2018 following 2 years of losses, and will help ease concerns after an embarrassing data breach that dented the firm's reputation and could prove costly. Cathay will stump up 4.93 billion Hong Kong dollars for the airline in a deal that is expected to complete by December, according to a filing announcing the deal. The firm said it will continue to operate HK Express as a standalone airline using the low-cost carrier business model. The head of South Korea's flag carrier Korean Air, whose family have been embroiled in multiple scandals, including one involving a nut rage tantrum, lost his board seat after shareholders voted against extending his term as director, the airline said Wednesday. Cho Young-ho, who is currently on trial for corruption, failed to secure a required 2/3 majority, becoming the first controlling shareholder of a South Korean conglomerate to be forced off the board. The 70-year-old tycoon is the chairman of the Hanjin Group, which used to own the now bankrupt Hanjin shipping line. Cho controls around 30% of Korean Air through its parent company Hanjin Cal. But the National Pension Service, the airline's second biggest shareholder, had said Tuesday it will oppose Cho's re-election, citing his records of undermining corporate value and infringing upon shareholder rights. Cho is on trial for embezzling more than 20 billion won and unfairly awarding contracts to companies controlled by his family members. His 2 daughters, who held management positions at Korean Air, previously became viral sensations for temper tantrums dubbed as the nut rage and the water rage scandals, forcing Cho to issue a public apology and remove them from their posts. Purdue Pharma, accused of helping fuel the U.S. opioid addiction epidemic with its painkiller OxyContin, has reached a $270 million settlement in a key lawsuit brought by the state of Oklahoma, officials announced Tuesday. The settlement was the first of its kind to address the national addiction crisis that kills 130 Americans a day. The bulk of the money will go toward establishing an addiction treatment and research center at Oklahoma State University, Purdue said in a press release. The drug manufacturer also agreed to not promote or market opioids in the state in what was a non-negotiable part of the deal, Oklahoma Attorney General Mike Hunter said. He said today's agreement is only the first step in our ultimate goal of ending this nightmarish epidemic. Purdue is facing hundreds of lawsuits in the U.S. over claims that OxyContin causes addiction. On average, 130 Americans die from the opioid overdose every day, according to the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention. In 2017, of the 70,200 people who died from overdose, 68% involved a prescription or illegal opioid. That's it for Business News. This is Cesar Vallejos. I'm 1 with 25. Eagle News International will be back. Stay tuned.
Is our most important asset, and it should always be a constant effort to seek ways to take care of it. That includes
court, vowing to hang up his gloves for the second time in 3 years. The trash-talking Irish star of the Ultimate Fighting Championship wrote on Twitter that he had decided to call time on his career inside the octagon. McGregor, 30, has not fought since being well beaten by rival Khabib Nurmagomedov in October last year. The Dubliner, one of the most bankable stars in UFC, had previously vowed to retire in 2016 in a move that was widely seen as a negotiating gambit. McGregor is one of the most successful fighters in the history of mixed martial arts, helping to broaden the sport's appeal beyond its base of hardcore fans. The Irishman is estimated to have earned $200 million from his fighting career, which included a much-hyped cross-combat bout against former welterweight boxing champion Floyd Mayweather Jr. in August 2017. In tennis, Spain's Roberto Bautista Agut rallied to shock world number 1 Novak Djokovic 1-6, 7-5, 6-3 on Tuesday to reach the quarterfinals of the ATP and WTA Miami Open. Bautista Agut, ranked 25th in the world, booked a meeting with defending champion John Isner, who beat Britain's Cal Edmund 7-6, 7-6. The defeat derailed Djokovic's bid for a record 7th Miami Open ATP title. The Serbian star, who earned his 15th Grand Slam title at the Australian Open in January, returned form a short rain delay in the second set to hold for 5-5 and had a break point in the next game. But Bautista Agut held firm, eking out the set and wrapping up the victory in 2 hours and 29 minutes. He notched his second 3-set win over Djokovic this season after a victory over the Serbian on the way to the title in Doha. The defeat capped a disappointing march on U.S. hard courts for Djokovic, who was bundled out of the third round at the Indian Wells. New England Patriots owner Robert Kraft has requested a jury trial on 2 misdemeanor prostitution-related charges he faces in Florida, court documents filed Tuesday show. The 77-year-old billionaire was among 25 men charged with soliciting prostitution in 2 January visits to a South Florida massage parlor. Kraft, who had already filed a not guilty plea, said in a statement issued over the weekend that he was truly sorry in his first public comments on the case. The Patriots owner said he hadn't commented sooner in the deference to the judicial process. In the documents filed in Palm Beach County, his attorney waived Kraft's arraignment scheduled for Thursday, confirmed that the not guilty plea and requested a jury trial. Meanwhile, these are the results of the games today in the NBA. And these are the stories for EN Sports. I am Ben Bernaldez and I am 1 with 25.
In Australia, the 2019 Asian Pacific Classic and Equipped Powerlifting and Bench Press Championship was recently held there, and the Philippines was able to take home some golds. Celine Ryan Andrews reports.
The Australian Powerlifting Union and the Asian Powerlifting Federation has invited the member nation of the International Powerlifting Federation, or IPF, to its recently organised sports event, the 2019 Asian Pacific Classic and Equipped Powerlifting and Bench Press Championship.
Powerlifting is a strength sport that consists of 3 attempts at maximum weight on 3 lifts: squat, bench press, and deadlift. As in the sport of Olympic weightlifting, it involves the athlete attempting a maximal weight single lift of a barbell loaded with weight plates. Powerlifting evolved from the sport known. Competitions take place across the world. Powerlifting has been a Paralympic sport since 1984 and under the IPF is also a World Games sport. Local, national and international competitions have also been sanctioned by other federations operating independently of the IPF. The Asian Pacific Championship Powerlifting Games 2019 was held here on the Gold Coast from March 15 to the 17th at the Runaway Bay Indoor Sports Stadium. On the 10th of March, 9 athletes arrived to Australia from the Philippines to represent their country in the championships. Casamara competed in the 53 kilogram category in the equipped and in the classic competition. In the equipped competition, he squatted 160 kilograms, bench pressed 80 kilograms, and deadlifted 190 kilograms, therefore winning his first gold for the championship. Casamara continued to perform with a fighting spirit in the classic competition, where he squatted 135 kilograms, bench pressed 90 kilograms, and deadlifted 188 kilograms, which is the Asian record. The Philippine team returned home with pride as they brought home several medals, of whom included Aaron Paul Casamara with 2 gold, Mickey Elizabeth Neri with 4 gold, Nicole Alexis Go with 2 gold, Jeremy Rain Bautista with 1 gold and 1 silver, Jessie May Tabuan, 2 gold, Veronica Ompod, 2 gold, Joyce Roboton, 2 gold, Anita Koika, 1 gold and 1 silver, and Leslie Evangelis with 2 gold medals.
Today I have Aaron Paul Casamara from Teresa Rizal, who represented Philippines and competed in the Asian Pacific Powerlifting Championship Games here on Wednesday. Aaron, how long have you been powerlifting for?
Nagsimula ako mag-powerlifting 2 years ago. Na-discover ako sa isang gym ng isang coach na Iglesia ni Cristo na pumunta doon na kung pwedeng i-motivate yung mga bata sa larong powerlifting.
Explain to us the preparation that was involved.
First, nanalangin muna ako sa Panginoon Diyos na patnubayan ako, nagabayan ako sa aking mga pagsasanay, tsaka ilayo niya ako sa anumang mga kapahamakan.
Could you describe your experience on the games on Wednesday?
Bago ako matulog, nanalangin muna ako sa Diyos na gabayan niya ako sa aking pagpapahinga. At pagtapos ng laro na yon, nakakuha ako ng gold medal after a game. Then, last Friday, meron ulit akong event na ginanap na classic naman. Then, I got gold medals.
So what else do you have planned for your powerlifting future?
Makasali sa SEA Games after 2 years. Then, this coming June, merong World Classic Championship Games na gaganapin sa Sweden. And I try my best to get the medals.
So congratulations, nice meeting you. Hopefully we get to see you once again, and good luck on the rest of your endeavours. Reporting from Gold Coast, Australia, this is Celine Ryan Andrews, and I'm 1 with 25.
Eagle News International will be right back.
known as the Terno Ball, which demonstrates that Filipino culture in the Aloha State is still going strong. Even their distinguished guest speaker rendered praising remarks. Take a look.
Aloha! We're here tonight at the 65th anniversary of the Filipino Women's Club Foundation of Hawaii. Let's see what's going on inside.
Aloha and mabuhay. Thank you so much for accommodating my schedule. Don and I are thrilled to be here for the 65th anniversary of the Filipino Women's Clubs and Affiliates and the 45th annual Terno Ball.
The annual fundraising event was recently held at the Ala Moana Hotel near Waikiki. The club's mission is to participate in community service projects, promote the traditional Filipino dress known as terno, and to promote traditions and personal development for its members. Filipinos, and even non-Filipinos, showed up in formal attire in true Filipino fashion. Barong Tagalog for the men, and terno for the women. The event began with the rendering of the U.S. and Philippine national anthems, as well as the Hawaii state song, Hawaii Pono'i. Several groups later presented a cultural dance number, while others were duly recognized for their contributions in the community in the past year. During his remarks as guest speaker, Hawaii Governor David Ige stated that the Filipino community and other groups help perpetuate the various cultures that make up the state's diversity.
Organizations like the Filipino Women's Club, who is so important to perpetuate the people, place, and culture that makes Hawaii a very special place. I'm proud to be governor of the state of Hawaii because we celebrate our diversity. We want to know about all of the cultures that makes up Hawaii, and the Filipino culture has been such a vibrant part of this community for so many years.
Some of the proceeds raised in this event are expected to be awarded as scholarships to help students throughout Hawaii pursue higher education.
Here, reporting from Honolulu, Hawaii, this is Ron Hamilton for Eaglenews. I am one with 25.
Thanks, Ron.
Thanks, Ron. Don't forget to like us on Facebook, follow us on Twitter and Tumblr. Also, check out our boards and Pinterest and pictures on Instagram. I'm Sam Cepeda. Thanks for joining us.
And that's it for tonight's broadcast. I'm Alma Angeles, and we're one with 25.